Hello, craft beer friends, and welcome to Season 9, Episode 11 of Tap to Craft Podcast. I am Denny Luce, coming to you from Boise, Idaho, and my partner in craft, the dog whisperer, and my favorite Florida man from Tampa, Florida, Mr. Kris McKenzie. How you doing tonight? And of course, what is in your glass?
Well, I'm doing very well today. Super excited about my new microphone.
Sounded really good.
And in my glass this evening, I'm drinking a beer from Cigar City called Magellanic Cloud. Now, this is from their El Catador series, and I figured since we had the conversation we were going to be talking about, it's kind of fidgeting through my green screen.
It's going see-through.
Because of what we're talking about today, this was as close as I could get for what I had on hand. So this is a bourbon barrel aged Imperial Stout with vanilla and coconut. And just like any of the other El Catador beers, it doesn't tell me how big of a beer it is. So it's kind of a surprise. And you just kind of find out midway through the show how big the beer is. So I guess we'll find out.
Well, all right. I can't wait to find out how big that beer is.
Well, what about you, sir? How was your day? What's in your glass? Tell us about that stuff.
My day was fantastic, even for a Monday, and even after having to get rid of 3 inches of snow off my driveway before I went to work. But I got to use my snowblower for the first time this year, so it's already a good winter when I use my snowblower, and so that was good. I mean, it was a hassle to get rid of the snow. Snowed all day, but luckily it didn't stick the rest of the day, so I didn't have to come home and shovel any snow, which was nice. That's always a good deal, because I didn't want to be all sweaty when I come here and chat it up with you guys. But yeah, my day went great, and it's even better. I'm kind of in a chippy mood. Before we started the show, Kris and I were just chatting away, and I'm just kind of goofing, doing weird voices and stuff. So we're gonna have a fun show, I think. And doesn't Kris sound great with his new mic? I think he sounds fantastic.
The beer is called Large Magellanic Cloud. Denny is clocking in at 15%.
15%?
Oh, here we go, boys and girls. I'll see you on the other side.
All right. Well, I'm starting off. It is wintertime. I just talked about shoveling snow off my driveway this morning. I'm drinking a winter ale. This one's from Fremont Brewing. They're simply called Winter Ale, Imperial Winter Ale. I get this every year. I think I drank this about this time last year. Great. If you look at this, you can see it's a nice dark, kind of a mahogany. It's kind of hard to see in this light, but it's like a mahogany, like a deep mahogany reddish color. Has some great flavor, a really good winter warmer. I'm really going to enjoy this. So it's 8%. It's half of what Kris is drinking, but hey, it's still a big beer, right? 8%.
8% is a big beer. I don't care who you are.
Yeah. So I got that. I've got. I've also in my bucket. I've got a Mere Pond Pale Ale.
Ooh.
Man, I forget whenever I buy that beer. I forget how much I enjoy it, because that is just a really. It's how some people really just feel at home when they're drinking Sierra Nevada's Pale Ale. I enjoy Sierra Nevada's Pale Ale, but I think my home beer like that for my Pale Ale is Deschutes Mere Pond.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's because I drank more of that when I was younger than I drank of Sierra Nevada's Pale Ale. So it brings back some great memories of some of that like English Pale Ale, style flavors. I bought a 12-pack of that, and I just have really enjoyed it. They go down so easy. So I got one of those in there, and because it is wintertime, I have my last Fizzy-Wig Christmas ale as well.
You're just getting festive with us. I've got vanilla beans and coconut over here. Okay. And when we went to the grocery store, Sweetwater beers were buy one get one free. So I've never had the hazy IPA, and I was a little nervous picking these up from the grocery store, but it said the best by date on them was in April.
Wow.
So it's 6 months from now. That's a fairly fresh
Oh, you
beer.
mean, I thought it was Best Buy last April.
No, it was Best Buy April of 2023.
Okay.
And I went, okay, that's 5 months from now. That's a fairly fresh beer. So I'll go ahead and buy that.
Well, you're assuming it's a fresh beer if it wasn't brewed in April as well. So
so they do the best if enjoyed by date.
Yeah.
So drink it before April, And usually when I see those dates, it's within a 6-month window, which to me is still a little over the top. But also checking in with us too, Denny, is Mark Reedy over on the West Coast. And then we've got Kyle Marrero from Marker 48 Brewing over here on the West Coast checking in with us again. How you doing, guys? What are you guys drinking this evening? I'm sure Kyle's drinking something from Marker 48. And, Mark might be drinking something from Dust Bowl. Who knows?
Yeah, well, I'm sure if he's working, he's got to have a little taster there to just keep his mouth.
That's the rule. Yeah.
Wetted, right? You can't run out of... you can't get dry mouth while you're talking because you don't want to be spitting all over people, right? Wait, does dry mouth cause spitting? I don't know. That might be wrong. But hey, you got to be drinking something. So cheers to everyone on live with us. We appreciate you guys joining us. But hey, let's get this show started. That was our pre-show, our intro to the show. But let's get the show started. But before we do that, we always want to let anyone new listening to Tap to Craft podcast know what we are all about. We are an educational podcast focused around celebrating all things craft beer because we want to assist you, our listener, along in your craft beer journey and adventures. And you're listening to episode 219. We're recording on Monday, December 12th, 2022. And yes, we are live on Facebook. If you want to be like all of our great people that are on right now watching us live, you can do that on the Monday before the show releases at 8:30 Eastern time. And just jump on Facebook when you see that little, live, whatever. What is that? That says we've gone live, or what does
notification?
It say? It's a notification, but yeah, just go ahead and click it. Join us for a few minutes or the whole show. We love having people that join us the whole show, but even if you just only have a few minutes to join us and listen and interact, we love it. And in this episode, we will be talking about pastry stouts. I think I kind of let everyone know last episode that I've been drinking a few pastry stouts, and I realized, we haven't talked about this. This is a style that is really kind of in a highlight right now, and we better catch this while it's still high because I think people it's gonna be high and it might drop down because I don't know if people can sustain some of these big, sweet stouts for a long time. No. So why not talk about it? Let everyone know what is all about. And of course, you can count on Kris and I having some great conversation along the way. And before we get started, I always want to thank all of our satisfied Patreon supporters because this is brought to you by them. And that is Mike Allen, Bill Schlemmer, Amanda and Kevin Argyle, Mark Reedy, Mike Blanchard, Tara Carlson, Jim Kutzel, and Alex Fuchs, who are our virtual producers, and Tom Byrne, Jeff Seiler, Johan Halberg, Chad Lamassa, Mark Church, Eric Groundley, and Matt Knight, who want to buy us a virtual beer. If you enjoy the content we provide, we invite you to support the show by hosting your host or buying us a virtual beer or even becoming a virtual producer. You can explore the options on our support page by visiting patreon.com/tapthecraft. All right, we don't have any feedback. Everyone's busy doing Christmas shopping. No time to write us. Also, probably eating turkey. Did Thanksgiving pass since our last recording? I can't remember when we recorded last.
We recorded last on the 17th. No, 27th.
Okay, so it was after Thanksgiving. So hopefully everyone had a good Thanksgiving. But if you do want to contact the show, we have a lot of ways of doing that. You can write us at our email address at taptocraft@gmail.com or just add us at Twitter and Instagram at taptocraft. And of course, on Facebook, just follow us at facebook.com/taptocraft. Leave us a message, post on our page, send us private messages, whatever. We're good with everything. We like to answer and entertain you guys on there as well. Kris is the Facebook king. And we do have a Tap to Craft podcast website at taptocraft.com.
Yeah.
All right, Kris.
Mark Reedy said he's not working tonight, but he's having an Alvarado Street Brewery Mole Stout.
Nice.
And Kyle is having the Red Right Return Irish Red Ale from Marker 48.
Oh, I love a good Irish red. Oh, my goodness.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
I need to come visit and get some of these beers. Yeah. Okay, Kris, let's continue this conversation because now it is time to untap the craft and see what our listeners are drinking according to Untapped.
So, guys, remember, if you want us to read your check-ins on our show, make sure you follow me on Untapped at MCK1345. I also got a hello, cheers from Mr. Connor Larson. So make sure you guys follow me. We read these check-ins approximately 24 hours before we record. So if you check in 24 hours prior to 8:30 Eastern Standard Time on our recording dates, we'll read your check-ins. But just, check in every day. That makes sure you get them in. So we're going to start off with the Gnarly Gnome is drinking a Mall Maple and Coffee by High Grain Brewing Company. He's drinking that at the Gnarly Gnome Tavern. Connor Larson said he's drinking an Aurora Brewing. It's super crisp AF. If you're curious. But the Gnarly Gnome is drinking at Mall Maple and Coffee. So this is big, boozy, really tasty. I don't get a ton of maple or coffee, though. Still, great beer. No rating on that one. Wow, we're getting this one in early. Chad Lamassa continuing his check-in streak with a Cookies and Cream by Stevens Point Brewery. He said, I'm having an early beer. Going to see Juliana Hatfield and the Lemonheads tonight and didn't want to break my Tap the Craft check-in streak. Atta boy. This is a pretty solid stout, nice amount of chocolate and cream, 4-cap rating to go along with that one.
I didn't know Lemonheads were still performing. I was back in the 80s. I really liked Lemonheads. Wow.
Was it the 80s? I thought this was the 90s.
Well, I remember listening to them when I was in Florida in the Navy.
Okay.
When I first joined the Navy. And that was in 88. So 88, 89.
Okay.
The Lemonheads. You know what? Now I need to check. Maybe I'm thinking of a different band.
Well, while I'm getting into this one, why don't you dig in to see when the Lemonheads got started?
Okay. I'll do that.
But one of the fantastic things about our community of listeners, Denny, that Chad and Bill Schlemmer, all the way over in Wisconsin, are chit-chatting back and forth about this beer. And Bill said that he had no idea Stevens Point distributed as far east as Maryland. And Chad told him he happened to see it in a store, and I didn't know it was a Wisconsin beer until today.
Oh,
so
until
that's
just now.
Pretty awesome. Yeah, 2 hours ago, as a matter of fact. Checking into, let's see. Scrolling on up. Okay, Art Warcheck is drinking a Dessert First by Masthead Brewing Company, all the way up in Maine. He's drinking that at the Giant Eagle Portage Crossing Market District, my favorite grocery store in Ohio. 3 3/4 caps rating for that beer. No notes to go along with it, but he's also drinking the 2022 version of the Bourbon County brand Stout. That's clocking in at 14.3%, and it is a 4.5 cap rating from Mr. Art Warcheck. Someone asked him, is it really worth the cost? And Art said, yeah, fantastic barrel age, viscous, hints of coffee, anise, and chocolate. Speaking of Mr. Bill Schlemmer, he's drinking a Clint Yeastwood by Iron Fire Brewing Company. He's checking in at the Draft and Vessel Tosa. Tasty, smooth, and so easy drinking. Tiny hint of funk coupled with just a little tartness and grapefruit citrus. A very good saison. So much so that he gave it a 4 1/4 cap rating for that beer. Let's see. Mike Allen drinking this is an oak-aged orange blossom by Crafted Artisan Meadery. That is so much stuff to say. This is an oak-aged, I can't even do it. This is an oaked orange blossom. Now I got it out right. By Crafted Artisan Meadery. 4 3/4 caps for that beer. No notes to go along with that one. Jeff Seiler, I am kind of jealous that you got to drink this beer because I wish they would come down to Florida. He is checking into a head full of fresh hops from 2022. The Fresh Hop Hazy IPA with Mosaic and HBC 586 from Fremont Brewing Company.
Oh.
I miss Fremont. Delicious fresh hop IPA from Fremont. Piney, dank, and so tasty. 4 1/4 caps for that beer. I want to read this one just because we were just talking about him, and there's a Led Zeppelin something. Oh, yeah, this is the beer he just talked about. Mark Reedy drinking a Mole Alvarado.
Oh, yeah.
By Alvarado Street Brewery. He said, could this be a 5-capper? This Mole Stout was amazing. Pricey, but amazing. Fortunately, it was a gift from friends at ASB. Mark, where's ASB? Oh, Alvarado Street Brewery. I'm thinking fast today, boys and girls. Velvety Ghirardelli quality chocolate up front with a nice spicy finish. If gifted to me or I hit the lotto, I'll drink it again. 4 3/4 caps on that beer. Why not 5 caps though, Mark? Why not 5? Let's see. Had 2 people check into the same beer within 4 minutes of each other. One was in Ohio, one was in Florida. Kyle Lilly is drinking a Heisnacher 1543 Festmarzen.
Oh, you know what? It might be in that Costco.
Yep, that's exactly right. Day 12 of the Costco Advent calendar. He said pretty solid Marzen. 3 3/4 cap rating from him. And then Florida Steve is drinking the same beer. He said, I'm caught up now. A hazy Marzen? Really smooth. Not heavy on the malt, but there's a nice nuttiness. 3.5 caps.
I think they call that a unfiltered Marzen.
Unfiltered, yeah. Everybody calls them everything's hazy now.
Yeah, it's a young Marzen.
A young Marzen, yeah. It hasn't had time to let everything settle out. I got 2 more here. Matt Knight is drinking a Chalky Milk by Myers Creek Brewing, finishing off his last one, he says, and 4 1/4 cap rating on that one. And finishing up at the Juliana Hatfield concert at the 930 Club, Chad Lamassa is drinking an Old Rasputin by North Coast Brewing Company. Nice. Chad, if you're going to go buy a beer at a concert, that's a pretty damn good one.
Yeah, good old 9%er.
4 cap rating on that one, and that is what everybody is drinking.
Wow. Kind of a short list tonight. That's okay, though. We had some good beers.
Yeah.
Good interaction. But now to recap on the old Lemonheads, I was right.
Yeah.
They started in 86. They're out of Massachusetts, Boston, Massachusetts. It says the Lemonheads are an American alternative rock band formed in Boston in 1986. And they did release 3 albums in 87, 88, and 89. And I have 1 or 2 of those early albums, and I don't remember which ones I have. And I enjoyed it. I was back in the late 80s. I was very much college alternative rock, alternative rock, punk. I did all those things and listened to a lot of college radio stations. And that's when I was in Florida. I don't know if these guys came down and played at one of the venues down there, and I saw them. I can't remember the details, but I did enjoy them. And you're right, Kris. They went from 86 to 97 and then took a hiatus and then reemerged in 2005 until present. So they've made a comeback. So, okay, I wasn't crazy. I knew that I was pretty sure. Now, and I had these guys on cassette tape. That's how, old it was. So I don't even have a cassette tape player, but I probably have the tape stacked away in a box somewhere. I'll try to find it and bring it on for our next show.
We had the CD at home, but
you have a CD.
Yeah. Well, I remember that one.
Yeah. So okay, that was just getting a little off track, but hey, we had to clarify the fact that I wasn't going totally crazy.
Not entirely, no.
Yeah. Okay. One last thing too is I forgot to mention we also another way you can contact us, which Kris and I love, is if you send us a voicemail. Just go ahead and pick up the phone, dial 208-536-3359, or if it's easier for you to remember, 208-53-ODDLY, ODDLY. In fact, why don't you go ahead and pick up your phone right now?
I dare you.
Put this contact into your contacts, so whenever you're listening to us and want to just send us a quick voicemail while you're driving down the road or at lunch or waiting for dinner to get done or whatever you're listening to us, or mowing the lawn, snow blowing the front drive, whatever, and you can quickly call us and leave us a quick message. We would love to hear from you. Leave us a voicemail.
And then you get to hear Denny's sweet voice. You get to hear Denny tell you, "Hey,
that didn't work, man."
I don't care. That's okay. I'm trying to do it on the fly, and no, I'm not leaving a voicemail.
Okay.
I wouldn't do that. I can't get the speakerphone to turn on. I'm trying to have fun with it, but
that's okay. That's okay. All right. Well, now that we got done with our Untapped to Craft segment, let's go into our Beer Speak 101. And this is where we briefly define common and not so common beer terminology. And in this episode, we explain what it means when we talk about flocculation.
Denny, careful. We don't have an explicit tag on our
Yeah,
podcast.
that sounds pretty
Relax.
pretty risque. Don't
I
flocculate.
flocculated earlier, but don't tell
so
everybody.
if you listen to this show, we have had some shows where we mentioned flocculation, whether talking about yeast flocculation or even in the brewing process, during the boil and stuff. And so, you know what? I thought we haven't explained what that is in case people don't know. So that's what we're going to talk about. So flocculation is the behavior of suspended particles in wort or beer that tend to clump together in large masses and settle out. During brewing, protein and tannin particles will flocculate out of the kettle, coolship, or fermenter during hot or cold break. During and at the end of fermentation, yeast cells will flocculate to varying degrees depending on the yeast strain, thereby affecting fermentation as well as filtration of the resulting beer. So maybe that's what happened. Maybe that Martin used a different yeast that didn't have a high flocculation rate, right?
Could have
Left
been.
it hazy.
Could have been.
Could be.
Maybe they put
Well,
some
there you
oats
go.
in it or something.
Yeah, I'll put some oats in it. Oh, there you go. That's what flocculation is. So now you guys know, and knowing
Is half the battle.
All right. Well, hey, we're flying through this show, Kris, having a good time talking about beer. Well, let's continue this beer conversation with the Brew Buzz. And the Brew Buzz is devoted to discussing various beer-related topics. This week, we're going to deep dive into pastry stout style. Let's talk about the pastry stout. And I did grab this information from two different sources. And I'll have these links in the show notes if you want to go find them yourself and read more in depth about them.
Eric Gronley caught on to that. He said G.I. Joe.
But so the one article was found on a Brewer World website. It's called "What Are Pastry Stouts?" Wow, that was definitely a catchy headline.
That was a catchy headline.
Yeah. The other one is Pastry Stout. Everything you need to know about this dessert beer. Found on the Draft Mag website. Neither of these had authors. They were just generic, content. Now, I will say that I think the Brewer World website may have taken some of the content from the Draft Mag website because Draft Mag website had a much more in-depth article on it. And some of the same stuff I found on the other one too. So there might be a little bit of sharing going on there. Maybe this Brewer World has just got a bot that goes out and, uses AI. What do they call that? What's that new thing where you have images that are made by AI? Is that called?
I don't remember what it's called, but I know there's a.
Yeah, there is.
It's a really cool feature to do too.
Yeah. I mean, although they make some funky looking stuff, but it's
Some
still
of them
fun
get really weird.
try. Yeah, augmented. No.
No, can somebody help us out here? Like,
yeah, I don't know.
Somebody throw us a line.
Yeah, we're drinking big beers. It's hard to keep our mind straight. But all right, well, hey, let's skip on and go to what is a pastry stout. Kris, what is a pastry stout? Look at that. You're drinking one, right?
Pretty close. And then I realized after I told you I didn't have anything in the fridge, I have a freaking 25-ounce bomber from Angry Chair in there somewhere.
Now, yeah, they definitely make some.
I'm not doing that. Anyway,
that'd be a follow-up beer, right?
Yeah. I don't think I'm gonna even get to my follow-up beer tonight. It was weird before I got on the show with you. I'm going. Don't tell anybody, Denny. I didn't feel like drinking beer tonight.
Ooh, wow.
But for those of you that are listening to this, I made myself do it just because I love you guys. This is how much I sacrificed for you guys. I made myself drink this delicious beer, and now I'm enjoying it. It's
okay.
I'm glad I did.
Okay, so, did you imbibe over the weekend, or you just weren't? No, you just wasn't in the mood to drink.
Remember the quick text conversation you and I had back and forth?
Yeah.
I might have had a beer this weekend.
Oh wow. Well, I followed through with my with my threat on Friday.
Thank God. At least somebody did.
Although I did hold back and I didn't drink yesterday. I didn't want to overdo it. I put on a pretty good one Saturday. So.
Okay, good.
And,
I'm proud
and
of you.
Fridays.
I'm
Yeah,
proud of you.
I kept it going two days, but the third day I had to take a break.
Okay. All right. Well, a pastry stout is a sweet, rich, over the top dark beer loaded with high adjuncts and flavored to taste like liquid cakes, pie, cookies, and candy bars. There is no official pastry stout style. It's an unofficial sub-style of Imperial Stout, which showcases ingredients that are more commonly found in a bakery than a brewery. Pastry stouts are somewhat similar to the milkshake hazy IPAs. Milkshake IPAs are also loaded with a high amount of adjuncts such as fruit, milk, sugar, or lactose, syrups, and other extreme ingredients. Their appreciation among beer lovers is undeniable. Let's be honest, not all of us enjoy the taste of beer. This is where these dessert stouts enter to make things easier as you grab onto one of these sweet drinks and not feel left out from the crowd.
Yeah, Pastries, I don't know who he's talking to because I think everyone listening to us enjoys beer.
I would hope so.
or they're trying to learn to enjoy
exactly. Beer. And I don't know, some of these pastry stouts, I don't know. That would be a tough one to say because some of them they come off super boozy and I don't know, maybe I'm thinking of barrel aged stuff, but I don't know.
Some can come. Yeah, you're right. Some can come because the sugars also can accentuate any high alcohol content as well.
What do these guys know? They're writing articles. Anyway, this is like the line of the century. Pastry stouts are never sessionable as they are loaded with confectionery ingredients such as chocolate, coconut, vanilla, coffee, bananas, caramel, cinnamon, star anise, marshmallows, and many other combinations. With adjuncts like these, you can expect your next pint of pastry stout to taste like a thick, sweet, high alcohol dessert like beer. I'm not too far from that on this, Denny. It's it's not like thick, but
yeah, it doesn't look. It looks kind of thin there.
It's leaving legs on the glass though.
Oh, is it? Okay.
It's making me slightly nervous.
But as you're moving it, it's moving like it's like just like mercury or something. It's like
the glass disappears. It's amazing.
The glass does disappear.
Look, I went all Christmassy. I know it's tough to see, but I got myself a Christmas beer here.
Ah, looking
Christmas
good.
Tree.
Every time, the green screen.
Every time I put one of these up, man, all the stuff that I want to show over here is always behind me. So, oh well, I'll just have to flip the photo for next time.
That's what I was gonna say. Just do a flip. Just flip it. So.
Yeah, that's too easy. I'll find some other picture. No.
Okay.
We'll flip it for next Christmas.
Yeah. All right. Well, hey, let's dive. Let's dive a little bit deeper into these ingredients that are found in pastry stouts. So the ingredients found in pastry stouts can vary from simple single ingredients to extreme flavors. On a scale of mildly sweet to extremely sweet, these beers can fall anywhere in between. This is why there isn't a set guideline or style or rules for this type of beer. It completely depends on the brewer how he decides to brew his sweet stout, or she. Some brewers employ lactose, which is milk, and sugar in their beer to bring in a creamy texture to their beer. I was about ready to burp, so I had to stop there. While some enjoy the thought of milk and beer, hardcore beer lovers would cringe at this combination. I tend to agree. I'm not a big milk stout fan, and if it comes across too sweet, then I don't like it. But I have to admit, a lot of brewers these days are really using just enough of that lactose to provide what it wants without making it overly sweet. So. All right. So Imperial Stouts have been implementing similar adjuncts in their recipes, but at lower thresholds. Again, chocolate, coffee, coconut, caramel, marshmallows, or other pastry ingredients were only added to highlight the roasted malt flavors, which are often perceived as burnt, espresso, dark chocolate-like. Pastry Stout is one beer that takes the sweet, rich, dessert-like side of a stout to the extreme. So I think that's the key, right? So often when people that that say they don't like dark beers, it's because they don't like the flavor of those very like burnt espresso, coffee,
Hmm.
dark chocolate characters, and they say I don't like dark beers because they don't like that. Now you you take the pastry stout, you throw some lactose in there, you throw some things that doesn't make that kind of mellows out some of those very extreme characteristics that people don't like, and now they can like they take a sip and like, wow, this is not too bitter and on the chocolate and coffee side, because again you have bitter on the hop side, that could be a fruity bitter or
Hmm.
a piney bitter or whatever, and then you have the coffee and dark chocolate bitterness that people don't like. So yeah, I think the pastry stout does offer something for people that don't like dark bitter beers. Okay, Kris, what about some of the characteristics of these pastry stouts?
So they can be influenced by favorite desserts or any other sweet dish which is universally accepted and anyone and everyone can enjoy. Did that come out right? Yeah, that came out
Yeah,
right.
and when
Uh, some brewers mix flavors of vanilla and blueberry with added lactose to bring the feel of a blueberry cheesecake. Some others focus on straightforward stout flavors of coffee and chocolate. These are simple to brew and universally accepted, as one cannot go wrong with original stout ingredients. There's nothing perfectly balanced about a pastry stout. Sometimes too much caramel feels right, and some other times it just feels off. When it comes to pastry stouts, the game changer is how well the brewer manages to weigh out the right combinations of ingredients to yield the perfect dessert beer. It should neither be too subtle nor too loud. That's a very fine line. Very fine line. While some brewers believe in a good base beer, there are some others who suggest that off flavors are sometimes inevitable in any pastry stout. An equivalent base recipe, quality ingredients, quality cellaring, packaging, and storage can play a major part in the equation of a pastry stout. Poorly made pastry stouts depend majorly on artificial flavors, extracts, and flavored essence instead of natural flavorings. The more natural you are with your ingredients, the higher your chances are to brew a delicious pastry stout.
Yeah, I think that is very important when they say that a lot of the poorly made pastry stouts are ones that rely strictly on artificial flavors.
Yeah.
I also want to say the ones I don't like, and this is any beer that does this. Now, maybe there are some that are better than others, but I have not yet had a single beer made with cereal that was good. I don't. If I, it's gotten so bad that if I see that that a beer was made with some kind of cereal, I
Mm-hmm.
will not buy it. I've had so many bad ones that I just say this is not for me. And I think pastry stouts are similar, right? If they add ingredients that taste artificial, and I've had like brownie ones, right? If a brewery is using brownie mix and it's a cheap Walmart brand or whatever brownie mix, and it just has that like artificially flavor, it tastes like you're drinking chemicals.
Yeah.
It's really bad. And I've had some that taste really bad. So it really makes a huge difference in the ingredients they put in. And I hope that more brewers will pay attention to that and not just try to, get the flavor they want by going cheap. Do it the right way. Make these things actually really good. I will have to admit, Great Notion, of the ones I've had from them, they are doing it right. Whatever they're
Mm-hmm.
doing, they're doing it in a way that doesn't give off these bad, artificial, chemically induced flavors, into their beer. Okay, how to make a pastry stout a hit. Pastry stout lovers aren't looking for basic flavors in their beer. If you can guarantee a beer with bold flavors, with an equal amount of base beer character, both heartily complementing each other, then you will become a hit. A huge body with a mouthfeel of deliciousness combined with stout characters and topped with favorite dessert flavors will put you on the right path. I think that's a key thing too. The ones I've had that I've really enjoyed are ones that are able to still maintain that base beer, but add these layers of flavor into them that will come at different times of the beer. Like up front, you might get that rich fudge like chocolate, and then as it goes in, you start to get some of that raspberry jammy filling, that comes in there. And at the finish, you might get, who knows, some cinnamon or something that might just top it off. Whatever it is, those are the ones that I think are brewed really well and with a specific purpose in getting what you want. You get all the enjoyment of the beer, and those are one.
And I think that's a really good way to kind of talk about how those flavors should come in, is in layers, right? Because you don't want it to be, like you said, you don't want it to be artificial. You don't want it to be just this big, just chocolate bomb or raspberry bomb or whatever adjunct might be in the beer. But there has to be a beginning, a middle, and an end to it. And if you can do it in layers, I mean, that just makes it so much easier to kind of understand, but also to enjoy the beer too. Now, Jeff Seiler said that Stout Chocula is made with Count Chocula cereal, and it's delicious. Now we need a Cocoa Puffs beer. I'd get behind Stout Chocula.
Wait a minute. Aren't those like the same thing, right?
No.
They're not the same?
No. Count Chocula has marshmallows. Cocoa Puffs doesn't.
Oh, snap.
I mean,
I got put in my place there. Okay.
I mean, it might just be the fact that, every Halloween Count Chocula shows up at our house along with his friends Frankenberry and Booberry.
Do they only come out during October time frame?
Yeah, during around the during Halloween.
Oh.
But there does happen to be Cocoa Puffs in my pantry right now.
Okay.
So, but I agree with you, Jeff. A Cocoa Puffs beer would be great.
I don't eat cereal, so, and I definitely don't eat sugar cereal.
Well, you're not a sweets person. I mean,
I'm not a sweets person, but I do remember, when I was a kid, of course, when I was like, 6, 7, 8 years old, I did enjoy some of those sweeter cereals, and I remember how it would make your milk taste like chocolate milk, when you.
That's my favorite part about it. Like, what cereals did you have in the Luce household growing up?
So, so my mom always tried to get us to eat regular Cheerios,
right?
Or shredded wheat, because those were the healthier
options. Yeah.
And if I did, and that's what we had to eat a lot. So when I did eat those cereals, it was make my little thing and then get like a cup of sugar.
Yep.
Put it on there, because you had to have some flavor, because they were so non-flavorful. So we ate those. Then when on occasion, we would get some of those other sugary ones like Count. Well, now I don't even know if I ever had Count Chocula, because I didn't know it had marshmallows in it.
Okay.
So maybe I was wrong, but I did have the Cocoa Puffs one.
Okay.
I like the Cocoa Puffs. But my favorite was Captain Crunch. Regular, the berries, and I loved, probably my all-time favorite was the peanut butter.
Yes. If I'm going to have Captain Crunch, it either has to be the plain one. The berry ones are okay. I like those, are okay. But the peanut butter ones, they're good in their own right too. I really do like those. But the only downside to Captain Crunch, Denny, is what is it? What's it do to the roof of your mouth?
It tears up your mouth. Yeah, it's so hard. Yeah.
Jeff Seiler said, don't forget Cocoa Krispies.
Cocoa Krispies.
Okay.
Oh, you know what we did? That was another cereal, was Rice Krispies.
Rice Krispies?
Regular Rice Krispies. But again,
sugar.
Put in a ton of sugar.
It was, I was just talking to Tina about this the other day, because we were at the grocery store and we were talking about different cereals. And if it was Cheerios or Rice Krispies or Corn Flakes, just kind of those plain cereals, if we were going to add something to it, it was either sugar and or a banana.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Adding fruit is good.
Yeah.
Okay. Kris, I think I left off with you with the conclusion of this, right?
Yeah. So back on track. One cannot deny the fact that with pastry beers, it is easy to go way too sweet, but there's a thin line between welcoming sweetness and cloying. Pastry stouts are beers that are liquid forms of desserts like cakes, cookies, pies, and more. Coffee is one pastry stout flavor that is universally accepted.
That's what you're drinking right now, right?
No, this one's vanilla and coconut,
Oh, okay.
and it's barrel aged, and I'm feeling it. Other flavors include blackberry, raspberry, caramel, marshmallow, nutmeg, chocolate, and more. Balance is the key to making a delicious pastry stout. The safest way to go about it is to make a strong base beer free of any off flavors and loud additions.
Yes.
I love it. Loud additions. One of the biggest benefits of this beer is the fact that it's packed, really, with antioxidants and minerals.
Those are so good for
from
you.
Fresh fruits. Listen,
Yeah.
you can pretty much make anything a salad if you want to. I'm sure people have seen the shirt that says, beer has hops. Hops are green and leafy, so
Yeah.
beer is a salad.
Yeah.
I did that with something the other day too, and it just kind of made me laugh because I was like, wow, you can make pretty much anything a salad if you do it right. So packed with antioxidants and minerals from fresh fruits and flavors. Yeah, if you're using fresh fruits to flavor it, and your flavors are natural flavors, sure. One of the biggest disadvantages, though, of this beer is its added calories.
Exactly.
It's also full of sugar and milk, which can be bad for diabetics or those who are lactose intolerant.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. To be completely honest, I wouldn't be surprised if this 16-ounce bottle had somewhere in the neighborhood of 700, 800 calories in it.
Probably, if not, yeah.
And it's just because of how much alcohol is in it.
Yeah. Well, alcohol and
fermented sugars.
Unfermented sugars that didn't leave, right?
It wouldn't surprise me. So, fortunately, I didn't have a heavy dinner. Mark Reedy said that Dust Ball Brewing has one called Room for Dessert, flavors of German chocolate cake.
Oh, I love
Very
German
tasty.
Chocolate cake. When I ate cake,
I was going to say, we chisel away at you a little bit more every time, Denny. You're like, I hate sweet things, but I love German chocolate cake.
There was a time. Let's get back. Let's chisel way down to the core.
Okay, let's go.
I was 17 years old when I stopped eating sugars, candies and stuff.
Why?
Because I was in high school. I was heavily into sports, and I had some coaches that were really focused on keeping us off of soda pop and sugars and sweets, and so they put they put ahead something that said, hey, we're going through Hell Week. We're doing, and one year we did 3 practices a day for the first week, and then 2 the second week. So the first Hell Week was early morning, mid, and then afternoon. So we had 3 practices we were doing. And he says, here's what I want you to do. I don't want any of you guys drinking soda. I want you guys to cut out the sugar. I want you eating lots of bananas and fruits and things to get back your things and all this stuff. So I took it to heart, and I kind of stopped, and I went a month, and I made it even any further. I said, you know what? I told everyone I'm going a month without eating anything that has a lot of sugar in it. And I did. I followed through for a whole month. I didn't eat any sweets or anything. And you know what? I felt better.
Mm-hmm.
And so at that point, I realized, man, all this sugar and sweets and stuff is like bogging me down. It's not helping. So it was when I was 17 years old, after 2 weeks of Hell Week, that I decided I was just going to stay off the sugar longer. And don't get me wrong, from that point on, I did occasionally would have some ice cream or have something, but I don't like, once you get off of that processed sugar, you don't crave it anymore, right? You don't have that need of having that thing. And so when you have it every once in a while, you can enjoy it without having it to overindulge, right? And so that's how I've been for many years. And I just I really don't miss it. But there was a point when German chocolate cake, when I was a kid, was like my favorite cake. And I loved it, so, and still, if there was a cake that would, and I don't like, and I haven't eaten cake for a long time. I've never been a big cake fan after I got off the sugar. Um, but if there's a German chocolate cake, I do have a weakness to have a little small little piece of it because I love
Hmm.
coconut and I love that coconut, frosting and if it's a nice German chocolate cake in there too, I really like that. So I will have a small piece and I'll enjoy it, and I may not even finish it all because if it's too much, I just don't do a lot of sweets. So that's my story. Now you guys know it. You chisel it away, and now
And
you
I'm
know
always
that.
curious, right? Like as many things as you could think of, especially being 16, 17 years old and going, all right, coach said leave the sugar alone. And it stuck with me for the last couple of decades.
I haven't drank soda since I was 16 years old or
Yeah, I mean,
16 or 17.
soda is one of those things that it's like if it's if it's offered, okay, great, but it's not like we go out and buy it or we're like,
Mm.
I'll have water, I'll have iced tea, I'll have whatever. But Eric Gronley did say dark chocolate is way better than milk or white
Oh
chocolate.
yeah,
Let's just get that out
100%.
there. He said,
100%. And
yeah,
that's why if I do eat chocolate, I only eat dark chocolate because it's bitter, not so sweet, and it just has better flavor for me. So good job, Eric. I agree.
I mean, I prefer dark chocolate over both of them.
Oh wow, we really got sidetracked there. But hey, you know
Yeah,
what? The show was going by too quick, so we needed to get sidetracked
we
and slow it down a little bit.
did.
Okay, well, no topic would be complete without talking about some examples, and so I took some of the examples from one of the articles, and I didn't add any extra ones in there. You can find pastry stouts from all kinds of breweries, and go find them, go try them. I don't know which ones are the best or whatever. Just go try and find a brewery that does it right and keep buying them. But here are some examples that I liked because these are across the nation. So somebody in our listenership will be able to find one of these and try them if they haven't tried a pastry stout.
Well,
So
there's one of them that I'm looking at and I'm going, pretty much the entire country can probably get this one.
yeah. There's a couple. Yeah, there's probably a couple. So I'll start the first one off. It's Great Divide's Mexican Chocolate Yeti. And we've talked about the Yeti. In fact,
Mm,
you had a Yeti on the show, I think. Or
not
we
recently, but
not, but
I
I
definitely
mean,
have.
yeah. I thought we had like one of those big cans, or maybe I'm
Probably a
thinking
couple
of.
years ago.
It was
Well,
a few years
it was
ago.
either that or Epic's Big Bad Baptist.
Oh yeah. So okay, sidetrack again. Big Bad Baptist just released all their stuff. They were at the co-op. I was like, ooh, I'm gonna buy one. I didn't buy any because the cheapest ones are $17 for a 22-ounce bottle,
Mm,
and I'm just like, why do they have to be so expensive? It used to be $10 a bottle, and then it was $13 a bottle, and now it's $17 a bottle. And even though I enjoy the beer, I I don't know. I just don't think that a 22-ounce bottle should be $17. So I didn't buy any, but they have like six different variants, and some of them were very interesting this year. But okay, sidetracked.
okay.
Um, this Imperial Stout is a very special and limited brew from Great Divide Brewing Company in their venerable Yeti series. Plenty of mouthful spices have been added in this beer, like cinnamon, clove, and mint, alongside rich flavors of vanilla, chocolate, and coffee. This is a traditional champ- champurrado drink. I think I said that right. Champurrado. Yeah. These drinks have been a tradition in Mayan and Aztec cuisine for centuries. With a 9.5% ABV, this is a relatively strong pastry stout and is usually available from April to August or October. Keep in mind, we didn't mention this, but these pastry stouts typically are not high ABV. A lot of them are like somewhere between 5 to 8%. They're in that range. What I found in most of the pastry stouts that I've had. Now, Kris has got one that's 15%. This one is 9.5. There are one, and I'm sure Angry Chairs, all of theirs are
Yeah, all of
11% or
theirs,
above.
especially the ones that I haven't had beer from them in such a long time just because they were just so over the top loud
Hmm.
as
Yeah,
the article
yeah,
called them.
loud. Yeah.
That they were their grain bill must have just been massive on these beers, because they were clocking in at 8, 10, 12, 13, 14%. And it was like, not only are you just going to get bubble guts, you're going to be smashed.
Yeah, exactly. Bubble guts.
All
Oh.
right. So from the brewery, that's Bruery, Midnight Autumn Maple out of Placentia, California. I said that right, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Placentia, California, with 9% ABV. This beer is jam-packed with warm winter spices like nutmeg, allspice, vanilla, cinnamon, and maple syrup. This is a well-balanced beer that is slightly syrupy with a good, strong base beer and perfectly blending winter spices to keep you warm on a cold autumn night.
Nice. Yeah. Again, adding maple to any beer has a challenge. It might be too sweet.
Well, the maple flavor, I love maple.
Mm-hmm.
But when you put it in beers and it's too big, it gives you this funky, just almost metallic taste in your mouth, and it sticks there for 24 to 36 hours. And you end up burping it up for the next 2 days. And if it's subtle and it's just right, I love it. If it's over the top and loud and not layered appropriately, I hate it. I love it in the beginning, but I hate it after.
No,
after
I agree.
The first half of it.
I agree. It can be a tough one for sure. All right, how about New Realm Wooded Reserve Barrel Aged Series, the Golden Pastry Stout, and this is out of Atlanta, Georgia. This is one beer brewed with complete finesse. It has extremely complex flavors and is aged in Barbados rum barrels with coffee and cocoa. Cocoa. Or is that cacao?
That's cocoa.
It is cocoa, right?
Yeah.
Some tasters have pointed out its counterintuitively refreshing taste. Wow, that would be counterintuitively. The drink also has a mouthful of caramel, chocolate, and burnt sugar notes that last in the aftertaste with a delicate coffee after the finish. This beer sounds fantastic. Fantastic.
Fantastic.
That's fantastic.
That's going on a t-shirt. Tap the Craft podcast.
It's fantastic.
Fantastic.
But my only concern is it is a golden pastry stout. That means it's defying the gods by making a dark stout look light. And some of those are really well done and some are not so. This sounds like it might be a really well done one.
And I think some of the ones that aren't as well done, I think it has a lot to do with the way they look too. I really do think that, especially in those like golden stouts, that it's messing with your brain in such a way that there's no connect. There's no connect, and your brain's going, it's supposed to taste like that. No, it doesn't. And it just won't connect the dots. All right. So this is the beer that I was talking about that I'd be willing to bet most people can get. Left Hand Brewing's Chai Milk Stout on Nitro. These guys are out of Longmont, Colorado. And with an ABV of 5%, this beer is super smooth and filled with aromatic spices. If you're a chai lover, you will be pleased by this. You'll be pleased by this beer. It has slight floral aromas that align with pumpkin spice, and the overall mouthfeel is silky smooth. This is a definite crowd pleaser.
Okay.
Are you a chai fan, Denny?
I haven't had a lot of chai. I don't think I would be against it. I just don't usually put things like chai coffee. I don't have anything to put it in, right? For me, I'm a huge ginger fan. So I drink.
Oh, me too. Have you met Tina?
I drink beer. I enjoy coffee, but I also drink ginger, like put ginger in water, and I drink that.
That's awesome, by the way.
And not only is it very healthy for you and good to all kinds of things, that's what I enjoy. I'm not saying that I'm not a fan. I just haven't had anything in that chai. I don't do a lot of flavored things, so I haven't experienced with it. So I need to have more experience with chai to see if I like it or not. I don't drink milk. So I don't drink lattes. If I have coffee, I have black because I like bitter things. Um, and and a lot of chai things tend to be mixed with coffee and
Hmm.
milk and stuff, and that's why I probably I need to try a chai tea that's just a tea and not a milk thing.
Yeah.
Okay,
All right.
it's me now.
On to the next one. It's your turn,
Yeah,
Denny.
yeah. Here's a beer that I can't get in Boise, and
No.
I've had it, and I've had it a couple times thanks to our good friends Amanda and Kevin Argauer. This is Southern Tier's Samoa, the Stout, or this Imperial Stout, and I love this beer. It is so good. With an ABV of 10%, one of the bigger ones. This is an Imperial Stout from New York, or also in Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh.
This is a decadent, flavorful beer that is a complete indulgence. It has booming notes of chocolate, caramel, and coconut, and remains a famous seasonal treat. If you can get any of these Southern Tier Girl Scout cookie stouts, go get them. They're all good. The Thin Mints one I've had, it was really good. The Samoa, there's one more I had too. All of them are really good, but I love the Samoa. It's tasty. So go grab that.
All right. Well, fun fact from Jeff Seiler, German chocolate cake is not from Germany. It's actually an American recipe from 1852 by a baker named Samuel German. Jeff's response? No shit. All right. Oh, you left this one for me, didn't you?
I'm choking on my beer.
Abiogenesis.
I'm
Yeah.
choking on my beer from from the last thing, but yeah.
Abiogenesis. That's what I'm going with. If I mispronounced it, somebody please tell me otherwise. The 8th State Brewing Company out of Greenville, South Carolina. This is an imperial stout with prominent flavors of Tahitian vanilla beans and banana. Banana is another one that can be overpowering too. It's a brash power in a bottle. And it's one of the most powerful beers at 16.6% ABV.
Wow.
It's dark and loud, but not syrupy. It has a smooth pour and is easy to drink.
Wow. Yeah, 16.6 with bananas. I don't know. That sounds like a harsh one right there.
Banana flavor has one of those, it has those characters to it that can almost be hot, like alcoholic hot.
Oh yeah. It can give you some hotness. Yeah. Okay, well, hey, let's finish this list off by going with the Exit Simulation, Good Word Brewing and Public House, plus Crooked Run Brewing from Duluth, Georgia. Some argue that this is not a dessert stout, but the sweet taste of this beer begs to differ. It's an imperial stout brewed with vanilla and cocoa nibs. There are no additional wild ingredients or barrel aging involved. It is a rather simple brew that remains smooth to drink with a light aftertaste and mouthfeel. On finishing notes, this beer tastes like sweet fudge and caramel gooiness. Wow. Wow.
I feel like I could bite that beer.
Yeah. That's I wonder what the ABV is on that sucker. It says
Exit Simulation.
yeah. But hey, it was a good beer to exit our Brew Buzz segment for sure.
So Exit Simulation is clocking in at 11%. That's a pretty hefty beer also.
Yeah.
But it's got a global rating of 4.15. But you know what's interesting?
What?
It's a 4.15 rating. There's only been 238 check-ins to this beer.
Okay.
And none of my friends have checked into it.
Well, hey, everyone, that is our Brew Buzz segment for this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned something a little bit more about pastry stouts. The key thing to remember is that no pastry stout will be like another one. One brewer will make something with the same name, the same ingredients as another, and it might taste totally different because they're throwing it all together.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't even know if they can. I mean, some brewers are real good at reproducing this magic. And if you find a good one, hey, stick with it because you'll enjoy it. All right, Kris, let's finish this episode out by talking about our new and noteworthy beers. I
So
know that you're still
I,
typing away.
yeah, I really, why can you hear it?
No, I
I'm
see
just
it.
kidding. No, so I realized that over the last 2 weeks, this is pretty much, oh, I had another one that I just didn't check into, but I've either been slacking on my check-ins or someone, has been giving me shit about being on my phone and trying to check beers in and like, yeah. So I got to make sure I check these beers in a little better. But I had a new beer from Tampa Bay Brewing Company. These guys right here. They're Hop Silo 20. Now, Hop Silo is a series that they put out, I believe it's once or twice a year. This is the 20th version of Hop Silo. And every version gets a little different, gets a little crazier. Hey, what new fun hop can we experiment with? What new method can we put towards this? And I've even reached out to the owner of Tampa Bay Brewing Company and said, hey, I'd like to have you on the podcast.
Yeah.
Let me know when you can come on with us, Dave Doble.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind having Dave on the show.
Yeah. Got to reach out to all the brothers Doble about hopping onto the show with us. I did reach out to Mark with Aviation Brewing, Mark Doble. Get back to me soon so we can get a date on the books for you guys. And can't forget Mike too. So everybody has their own beer related business, which is pretty awesome. So the Hop Silo 20, crap, where's my notes? I suck. I'm sorry. But this beer I had at my favorite, I guess it's my favorite beer place now, Gasparilla Pizzeria and Growlers. This was a hazy IPA with Talus, Idaho 7, Galaxy Sabro, and YQH 1320.
I love those numbered.
I do too, because it's almost like this experimental.
Well, they are. Yeah, they haven't come up with a name yet, right? That's whatever code is. So what? YQH?
I think it's YQH.
Well,
but I'm looking at I'm literally looking at the picture of my check-in.
It's the yeast. It's the
stupid green screen.
Yeah, it's usually the yeast. I mean the hop. Sorry, I said yeast. I meant hop farm, like code letters, and then some number that they do.
Okay. And that one was, I grabbed it on a whim, because every time I grab one of these Hop Silo beers, they're just delicious. They're always so good. And I keep seeing them pop up, and I think we're coming up on our 8th year in Florida. And I can remember Hop Silo 10 and 11, and then now up to about 20. So every time I get them, if you can grab a hold of them, they've been fantastic. You should definitely grab them if you can get them. I don't know how far out they distribute, but if you're in the Tampa area, you can definitely grab them, and I'd recommend you would. I have a light list on my new and noteworthy beers. So Denny, what about you? Tell us about some of your new and noteworthy beers.
All right. Well, I drank quite a few beers. Surprisingly, I was shocked at how many beers I drank to go through and find the ones that were new and noteworthy. I did pick 3 out, and I picked the 3 that were, the highest rated. I tried to pick the highest rated ones, but I had a lot of good beers. As I'm burping, let me get the burp out here. Oh, okay. The first beer I'm going to talk about is an Israeli beer. It was brought to me by my buddy Alex, and it's not even a beer. It's a mead.
Oh,
it's a mead, Kris. A mead. Yes.
Mead.
I drank a mead. I don't like sweet things. That's why I don't drink mead. But I'll tell you what. This was the best mead I've had to date. So of course I gave it a 5 cap rating. And this is from Israeli brewery, Mivshelet, Hehalutz, Hadash Meadery. well, it's called Meadberry. Sorry, Hadash. So this brewery is a home brewery of um, of a friend of Alex's who's in Beersheba, uh, Israel, and when one of the visits I was there, I was with Alex and we had a beer tasting segment, not segment, but beer tastings and stuff, and we went to Gilad's house, and we brought beers and tasted, and he was the one that had won the homebrew competition for Samuel Adams in Israel twice, and he had two different bottles of the Utopias, and he let me have a taste of one of those 2015 or something like that. So Gilad is a really talented home brewer. Well, he's moved it up and he's making a little bit higher batches now, and he's been brewing a lot of these beers that I've been drinking from Alex, and I've talked about him and I really enjoy him. He's a really good brewer. Well, he did a collaboration with this meadery that is also in Beersheba, and it's called Meadberry. And what I wrote here is I've never been a big fan of mead because a lot of them are too sweet, which I just mentioned. This one is not too sweet, and the berry additions do a good job of balancing the sweetness and berry tartness. That was the key, is that the berries were able to, tartness in the berries were able to kind of counteract the sweetness of the mead and make it so it was like maybe slightly sweet, but not overly sweet, and really made it very enjoyable.
Good.
This is the best mead I have had to date. Thanks, Alex. 5 cap rating. I couldn't. I mean, how could I not rate it 5? Like I said, I really enjoyed this beer. I not only tolerated it, or this mead, I thoroughly enjoyed it. So 5 cap rating, and it went down really quick. I sucked that thing down pretty fast. All right, my next beer is a beer that I held on for a year. It's from Bombastic Brewing. It was their 5th anniversary beer. Now they're on their 6th anniversary, so I need to get the 6th anniversary this month as well. But I kept waiting to share it with someone. It was a 16-ounce can. It's an Imperial Stout, a big beer. And I like to share these things with my friends. But every time we got together, there was always other beers to drink, and we never got this one out. So I finally sat down and said, screw it. I'm drinking this beer, and I did. And this is the 5th anniversary barrel-aged Imperial Stout blend. And here's the key. It's a blend of a bunch of different barrels, and it was done really, really well. So what I wrote about this is I've had this beer for over a year, trying to share it with friends, but it has never made it onto the rotation. So I'm drinking it by myself now. Holds up after a year. Very nice blend of bourbon barrels, not overwhelming the beer. Solid Imperial Stout as well. 4.5 cap rating. Fantastic beer. So far, honestly, Bombastic, they're a contract brewer. They brew in the Payette facility because Payette has extra capacity, and their beers are just fantastic. I really, really enjoy. I'm glad that we're able to get so many of their beers here in town. And the last beer I'm going to talk about is from pFriem Family Brewers, and it is their Dank IPA. And I'm not a big fan of dankness. I enjoy some dankness, but I don't want it to be extremely dank. Guess what? This is not extremely dank. This one is, I said, a bit of citrus and dank on the nose. The taste has a stronger candied grapefruit, citrus, and dank bitterness. Very good IPA, refreshing and crisp as well. 4.25 cap rating. We've already talked about the fact that pFriem Family Brewers is, one of our favorite brewers. I love them.
Yeah.
They now distribute to Boise. I have been buying not only Great Notion, every one I find in Boise, I'm also buying every pFriem that I find, and 6-packs as well. So I'll try new ones I haven't had. Ones that I do enjoy, I'll buy multi-pack. I'll buy a 6-pack of it, and then I'm buying 6-packs of the good stuff like the hazy IPA and all that stuff that I enjoy. I think that last show I talked about, the Canadian lager, I saw that again. I almost picked up a 4-pack of that, but I saw this other one I wanted to get instead, so I bought that. So I I can't just buy all the 4-packs, but yeah, I love having pFriem here. Okay, Kris, we've reached the end of episode 219. But
We did it.
before we close this show out, and look, I poured another beer, so I have beer in my glass.
This is what's left of mine.
Yeah, it's wow, you're one beer. What a wuss, man. Come on,
don't
man.
you wuss me.
All right. Well, before we close this show out, I always want to give you a chance to raise a glass. Who would you like to raise a glass to tonight?
So I want to raise a glass to my dad this evening. He is unfortunately stuck in the hospital with an infection. Call it that. Just keep things simple.
Okay.
But I talked to him yesterday. He is itching to get out of the hospital because he thought he tweaked his neck a couple of weeks ago doing some yard work, and come to find out there was an infection kind of in his shoulder area, from what I understand. Okay. So he's getting that treated with some antibiotics. He's been there for the last couple of days in the hospital, and it's unfortunately it's just I've been able to check in with him, text back and forth, call him. My stepmom's been keeping us in the loop on what's going on, and he's his regular self. I just want to go home and sleep in my bed. I'm like, hey, well, I mean, I know you're in the hospital. Like, what are you up to? Like, what are you doing? My niece went and saw him the other day. Lana, that's like basically his job. Lana is I think she's 4 or 5 now. My dad being retired, he watches her all the time. Wow. And she finally got to go up and see him too. But he just kind of messaging him back and forth. He goes, yeah, I just want to go home and sleep in my bed. I said, well, what are you doing in the hospital? Well, Lana came by and saw me. I'm laying in bed watching Yellowstone.
Nice.
I'm like, well, at least you got some good shows on that you're able to watch. He goes, just get me the hell out of here. I'm like, dude, I can't help you with that. Just take your antibiotics and, you can get out as soon as they'll let you out. So hopefully he'll be out before the show releases.
Good.
So I'm fingers crossed so that he can get home before, for Christmas and all that good stuff too. Because
for sure,
that man doesn't sit still. And when he has to sit still, it's because he probably needs to. And now that he needs to, he's getting bored. So, Dad, raise a glass to you. Cheers. Get well soon. I love you. And then for everybody else, we want to raise a glass to you because this show will release on the 16th? Yes?
The 15th.
15th. And then we don't record again until December 26th.
Oh, it's the day after. Oh, nice. It's the day after Christmas.
It's the day after Christmas. So I want to raise a glass to all our listeners. Merry Christmas to everybody.
Merry Christmas.
We hope you have a wonderful holiday with your friends, with your family, hopefully with some great beers, and hopefully you share that experience with us as well. And Denny, who would you like to raise a glass to today?
Well, I want to raise my glass to Rodney as well. Rodney, get yourself better and get out of that hospital bed. You deserve it. Also, our Patreon toast tonight goes to Tara Carlson and Jim Kudzall. Cheers. Thank you for your patronage. We appreciate it. I don't know how I would forget this, but I want to raise a glass to Eric Gronley. He has sent Kris and I. Kris is still waiting for his beers, but
oh Jesus, I suck.
He sent us beers from Minnesota, and for the next 3 episodes, we will be drinking on tasting segment 2 beers.
Thank you, Eric.
Oh, excuse me. Man, these beers are going through me. 2 beers from Minnesota. So we have 6 beers from Minnesota, and Kris and I are looking forward to doing tasting note segments on air for the show. So thank you, Eric. Cheers to you. And of course, as we mentioned, Merry Christmas to all our listeners. Hope you all are able to have a fantastic time with your families and loved ones. Cheers to you. And of course, being a former serviceman, I always want to raise my glass and thank all those who have served and are currently serving in the U.S. military services, protecting our freedoms. Without these freedoms, we wouldn't be able to sit here with you and chat about beer. So come home safely to your families very soon. And also, I want to raise a glass to Kris's new mic. You sound fantastic. Not that you sounded bad before, but hey, you sound even more sexier than you did before.
This mic is pretty awesome. I was able to get a Yeti microphone for those of you that nerd out about electronics like I do. It was $70. I guess it got used and returned on Amazon. It was $70, and I was like, man, I can't not buy that. So I'm excited about it.
Oh, I said, all right. Well, Kris, why don't you go ahead and give a toast out to our sponsor?
So we're going to raise a glass to the folks over at FrostBuddy. They specialize in cooling containers for your beverage of choice. Check out their coffee coolers too, by the way.
Oh, wait.
That's a new
who wants
thing.
Cold coffee, though. Oh, it keeps them warm.
Basic people. Or it'll probably keep them warm too. Anyway, FrostBuddy has the Universal Buddy 2.0, which is the world's first universal can cooler for 12-ounce cans, slim cans, bottles, and even 16-ounce cans. FrostBuddy also has the world's first universal wine cooler, 24-ounce stainless steel mugs, and even stainless steel dog bowls, and coffee insulated cups.
There we go.
Go visit their website at frostbuddy.com.
Okay. And you can find the beers and the links to the articles mentioned in the show on our show notes located on the show post at tapthecraft.com. And if you'd like to follow us on social media, I can be found on Twitter, Instagram, and Untapped at LuceGrew. And Kris, how can our listeners follow you?
Hardly ever on Twitter at Kris_McKenzie82, or you can find me on Untapped and Instagram at MCK1345, or follow us on everything social media. Share our stuff. We so much appreciate it, but you can find all of those things at Tap the Craft.
All right. It is last call. It's time to bring the show to a close. We want to thank you for downloading and listening. We ask you to please tell a friend. And of course, subscribe on your favorite podcast app. And as a reminder, we release a new show every 2 weeks. Now go out there and spread the good word of craft beer.
Cheers.
Cheers. And of course, I forgot to say in my toast to thanks all the listeners that came in and out the show. We had a lot of interaction.
We did, and even Jeff Seiler said, "Great show, guys. That was fun and educational. Nice job." Thank you, Jeff. We very much appreciate that.
Yes, we appreciate it.
Now, for all of you that are still live with us on Facebook, I'm turning this thing off. Hope you all have a wonderful evening, and we will see you the day after Christmas. So cheers.
Cheers.